Avengers Infinity War is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo and stars Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Pratt, Benedict Cumberbatch, Don Cheadle, Tom Holland, Chadwick Boseman, Denai Guerrero, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Tom Hiddleston, Peter Dinklage, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Pom Clemente, Karen Gillan, with Vin Diesel as Groot, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, and Josh Brolin as Thanos. Thanos has finally arrived to claim all 6 Infinity Stones for himself, which means that the Avengers, all of them across the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, must band together along with the Guardians of the Galaxy and stop him. The war is on and the entire universe is at stake. Avengers Infinity War is honestly the biggest superhero movie of all time. For me, it's also one of the most epic films I've ever seen. The scope, the scale, the effects, the characters, story, direction, the new and bold filmmaking that's all on display is so immersive and splendid and daunting. This movie is 2.5 hours long, and sure, you watch it and you can think, wow, I cannot believe there is still more of this movie going on. It's incredible that this can actually happen, that we can have characters like Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy interacting with each other while Thor goes off with Rocket Raccoon, and then Captain America meets up with Black Panther and Scarlet Witch, Vision, Falcon, War Machine, and they can fight off against a big army. It's like, wow. How the hell were you able to do all of this? The characters, the way that they interact and the different relationships that we are introduced to, that is incredibly fascinating. Because this movie is so huge, so tremendous in its size, some of the characters don't get a lot to do. They're just kind of there for a few moments and then we keep moving on the story. That's fine, because what we do have with a lot of the main characters is some really incredible new ground. There's new emotional stuff that we get into for characters like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Thor, Rocket Raccoon, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and especially Gamora. I was really surprised to see that Gamora had a huge role to play in this movie, which is kind of obvious because she's the daughter of Thanos. She's going to have that instant emotional connection to that character when he's coming in and trying to take all the Infinity Stones for himself. When we have Zoe Saldana acting with Josh Brolin, her in makeup, him acting through motion capture, I was amazed. She does an incredible job taking a lot of this movie on her shoulders. And also there are some really heartbreaking moments, stuff that really got to me, that kind of devastated me, for characters like Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, and Vision. What happens to them, what they go through, and how they are performed by incredible actors, Tom Holland, Paul Bettany, and Elizabeth Olsen. What they do in their scenes, sometimes when they share them with each other, wow, holy shit, just wow. So many of these characters do so many incredible things, whether it be emotional stuff, whether it be dramatic stuff, whether it be really, really fun stuff. Captain America, Bucky, Black Panther, Black Widow, they don't get a lot of emotional stuff to do, but they have a lot of action stuff to do, and it's incredible to watch them fight this massive army in Wakanda. So we do have some new ground to break for some of our heroes, and for one villain in particular. The Russo brothers kept promising before this movie was coming out that Thanos would be the main character. And yeah, he is. And it's absolutely amazing. He was my favorite part of this movie. What makes a great villain is you have to watch them and you have to believe that they think that what they're doing is right. Then that makes them interesting. That makes them relatable. And we actually should relate to villains in some way. That way we can actually get invested when the heroes are trying to fight them and we're having these incredibly tense confrontations. Thanos has that. And honestly, I think that he is the strongest, most intimidating, most utterly terrifying, the smartest, the most cynical, and possibly even the greatest MCU villain we've ever had. Josh Brolin's performance through the motion capture, it's groundbreaking. I connected with his character, which is very weird to say about a villain, but I did. I actually believed him when he was saying that he wanted to eradicate half the universe to keep life in balance, because if we don't keep it in check, then we're just going to keep using up finite resources and we're just going to extinguish ourselves. So he's kind of on the side of life, but only to a certain point. It's so fascinating. The way that Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely have written this character is fantastic. It's one of the best written characters in the entire MCU that I've seen. Aside from the character work that Avengers Infinity War explores, the way that it makes all these characters interact with each other in ways that you have never ever thought in your wildest dreams. Aside from that, this movie is technically so well constructed. Alan Silvestri returns to compose the music, and his score is just so soaring and affecting, and I'm so thankful to have him back doing the music after we've had some pretty forgettable scores for Marvel movies in the past. Trent Olpolok as cinematographer utilizes the new IMAX 2D cameras to their best possible use. His camera work, the way that he glides in and punches in and turns up the frame rate, but also the way that he constructs frames, even in massive battles and heavy CGI scenes. Some of the best cinematography that I've seen out of Marvel, which is not really saying something because they've kind of had a problem with that in the past. There are some things that I find a little inconsistent, some plot points or ways that we get to certain points in the story that don't always make a lot of sense. Like I said, some of the characters just kind of get the short shrift of, hey, look, I'm in the scene and bye. And there's also a few CGI moments, which is something I complained about with Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. Just a few little things that I don't think worked in comparison to the wonderful effects that we have for Thanos and his children. The Russo brothers take some really ambitious directions with these characters. They push them into scenarios that you never would have imagined, and the way that everything ends, no words can really describe what it is. This is an incredible, tremendous, epic experience for the ages. I definitely think it will be a classic in the superhero genre. It shows how blockbuster movies can have massive action and CGI scenes, but it can also have some nuanced storytelling and some wonderful character work on display. It can show you the power of a villain and how he can be the main part of the story and actually have that work. The people involved with this movie, in front of and behind the camera, have done the impossible, and that makes them mighty. Avengers Infinity War is easily one of my favorite MCU movies from just one viewing. Go out and see it. I highly recommend this amazing movie. And I will say that Avengers Infinity War is an... So Avengers Infinity War, have you seen it? What did you think about it? What did you think about this review? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more Mr. Movies, click the channel link coming up right here, and thanks for watching.